Yeah.
Let's talk about you. The show is about you, your work, your talent as an artist, as a musician.
Yeah.
What do you, that's the word that Ria. I don't even know how to pronounce it.
What's that?
With the rap and
It's griot.
grill.
It's griot.
Okay, I got it right.
And griot is a historian, storyteller, musician, poet that pretty much captures and seals and protects and honors the art of word, the word, and bringing forth the message. And it's
the first time, and I'm not afraid to say when I do know, I know, but when I don't know, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's the first time that I hear about this word. It's like I said it to you before we started. Like I love to take my time with interviews to do as much research as I can.
Yeah.
But with this topic, I'm not familiar with. It's something that I learned today with you.
Yeah.
Is I want to get to know.
Yeah.
This term.
Yeah, griot maintains the oral tradition and the history of a lot of cultures. Came from West Africa.
Okay.
It's a French dialect pronunciation. It's more French. In Creole and in Haiti, griot is fried pork, which is one of our most famous traditional dishes as well. So that's
fried
the other
pork.
side
Sounds
of
delicious.
that.
Okay, I don't eat pork, but sometimes I do.
It's like pernil or pernil, like fried pork pig, whatever.
Okay. God, you're teaching me a lot today, Farah. I'm good with that.
But that's the other side.
That's the other side.
But griot, definitely a historian, musician, poet, artist, and the art of storytelling, I feel, has been somewhat lost in music and in hip hop. I think because now it's an industry that's run by corporations and it's all about retail.
Right.
And it's all about
numbers.
Being a product, being a brand, and
that's now that you mentioned that, being a product, being a brand. What does it mean to be an artist? How do you compromise yourself if you compromise yourself for the sake of making it?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, where's the artist? Where's the entertainer? Numbers, obviously, they speak louder than words to a certain degree. Everything is about numbers and what sells and is ratings.
Right.
So how does it work for an artist? That's yourself.
Yeah.
How do you see yourself in this world, and how do you separate yourself from this world?
Right. I think for me, I haven't compromised, one bit. And what I have done, though, is my catalog of work. I had released New York State of Mind, where I'm playing 7 different characters.
I've seen it, beautiful, on YouTube. I checked it out today.
Yeah. Throughout my entire career, there's always been a stigma of what female rappers are supposed to look like and sound like. And somehow we've gotten lost in the translation of things, in terms of being really hardcore because you're in a male-dominated industry, or being ultra feminine, in a male-dominated industry. So for me, I just wanted to showcase that I can do all of those things.
Good for you.
Be a conscious rapper, be a gangster rapper, be a mainstream, May type of rapper, and then a more European, worldly, sexy vixen rapper, militant rapper. All of those characters are a part of me.
Okay.
But it's not who I am. I'm not limited to just one. So now, emerging as Farah Boulay Burns, we evolve as artists. And what I ended up doing was noticing that I was going back home. In terms of, I grew up listening to big bands. I didn't grow up on hip hop. Yeah. It wasn't until I arrived in New York, and the first band I heard was Diggable Planets, first group, that I heard was Diggable Planets, and I said, what is that sound? Like, what is that? Prior to that, I used to write short stories, and that used to rhyme.
Okay.
When I heard Diggable Planets, then I put the two together. But I grew up on big bands, so Tabu Combo,
Okay.
My first concert was going to see Julio Iglesias with my
We're talking
mom.
about Iglesias.
You know, right. So that's kind of music I grew up on. Ska, you know, Anita Baker, Sade.
Oh, Anita Baker, she's amazing.
You know, Sade. I mean, I listened to what my mom played.
Right.
You know, in the house. You know, and coming from a strong political Haitian background, you know, there were it was it wasn't limited, but what we listened to wasn't what was going on in New York City,
right,
if you will.
Right.
You know, it was definitely big bands and live music. So that's where my spirit has led me to.
You see, I even want to write it down, and you can keep the camera on her, Freddie. Forget about me, so I can get a pen because I'm making notes. Because you see. When you have somebody, I shouldn't say that because my guests are very smart, but I like to take notes when I read, and I like to take notes when I'm watching TV, but I'm going to start taking notes when I'm interviewing. You know, because there's two things that you just said that I just wanted to write it down, that I wanted to ask you. Rap singer, artist, woman. How do you define yourself? You said that you have, like, you learn from this school and you have that one, a little bit from here, a little bit from there. How do you define your own style, you, now, as it is today?
Right. The best way that I can describe it is boule. So boule is a melting pot of all of what I just spoke about. Afro-Caribbean music, ambient, futuristic style of music, narrative hip-hop, which is storytelling, set in a live musical ensemble, mixed with, you know, percussion, upright bass, piano, violin, harp. Like, I'm incorporating all these sounds that I hear, you know. One of my big influences is Sade, of course, and Bobby McFerrin. Bobby McFerrin created the sounds with his mouth, unreal sounds. You know,
what do you call unreal sounds?
Unreal sounds in terms of he takes you places. He dances on the outer perimeter of his own imagination, this man. And he pulls you in to his world. Not only does he pull you in, he makes you an instrument. And you want to be that instrument, you know. And that's what I want to do. Boule music is a melting pot of the culture that I was baptized in, you know, which is hip-hop at its purest form, you know. Wu-Tang, Wu Enterprise was actually the first label I signed with. My mom signed me. I was 16 at the time, so I wasn't legal to sign. So there's a certain unspoken culture that's there with Wu-Tang.
Okay.
Honor, loyalty.
Beautiful.
Good
values,
great
values.
My gosh, that's just unspoken. You know, that you know, once you step in, once you're invited into that world, that's what sticks with you. So I've had that from 16, so, which was great because that's when the no compromising came into the mix.
Good for you.
You know, you don't have to compromise in that way.
Right. What about the pressure, how women have to be in your world? Like how sexy they have to look. Because there's all these images and money and sex. Sex is powerful. It's a powerful thing. We're not going to play stupid. We know that.
Yeah.
But how much pressure women have in your business to look sexy or to look, you know, striking or to look beautiful. You're a beautiful woman, but how much pressure is about, you know, how you have to look like, how you have to dance, how much flesh you have to show. I mean, how does it work?
It's never ending. I mean, you're a wonderful actress. I'm sure in your line of work, there's a certain look and a certain vibe and a certain body type and all of that that you have to fit.
Do you care? Because I don't give a damn.
I never did.
about any of it.
I never
about
did.
hiding my age or whatever concepts you have to look like because
Right.
you're Spanish.
Right.
So you have to be this way.
Oh my gosh,
or
yeah.
you gotta be like Sofia Vergara, she's beautiful, or like Salma Hayek, or Penelope Cruz. You know, you kind of like wonder where do I fit? Because I'm not that. I'm not, you know. I never consider myself as a sexy woman, and I swear to you that I come from my heart when I tell you this, you know.
Yeah.
I never have. So you kind of wonder. I'm asking you because this is something that I was asking this question myself yesterday when I was running. So where do I fit? You know, like I was say, where do I fit? Because I don't consider myself you know.
Yeah.
So it's like for artists, for musicians, for rappers, for women, you know, when you see so much flesh and you see so much sex, and then next thing, just to give you an example, you see Beyonce, beautiful, talented woman,
Right.
but you know, you see the concerts and there's all this flesh and all these movements, you know, that.
I think for me, I think you really have to be confident in your own skin, and that takes time. So if you go into an industry and you're not confident, you're
about
not
who you
sound,
Good.
you know, you don't know who you are, they're gonna tell you who you are.
Right, because the
and they're
audience
going to show you how to dress, and they're going to show you how to speak and how to talk and how to look
and how to be
brand.
this way and be that way. But the audience are very smart. You know, people think audiences are not only managers and agents and producers and people out there who come with the money. The audiences are very smart. They can tell when you're coming from a truthful place.
Absolutely, absolutely, they know.
Right.
But I think everyone kind of bought into that.
Right.
You know, people want someone to show them how to look and how to wear certain styles and who's trending and who's not trending. Because sometimes when you turn that camera onto yourself,
right,
you notice that there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
Right. It's true.
And sometimes that's just way too much when you can just look at someone else and copy that. You know, so it's really the work starts within here.
Inside.
Oh my gosh.
That's
because
your foundation.
If it's not there, they're going to do it for you.
Right.
They will assign a look and a person for you.
Right.
On who you're going to be. And once you sign up for that, you have to live with that. Once you sign up for that, you have to live with that.
Like Marilyn
every
Monroe,
day.
When you really think about that. I was reading about her, and everybody knows who she is, and certainly she's the most famous woman in the world. She's like the most famous female woman. But I was reading icon,
global icon.
Yeah, and they were, because everybody's so obsessed about her beauty, and everybody said that, you know, that she was a victim, you know, by the big studios and by the sex and all that. But I was reading that she was not so much of a victim. She was very aware of what she was doing in terms of like, oh, this is the direction that I'm going to be taken, and this is who I'm going to be.
Yeah.
She created that image.
Yeah.
And it worked. Certainly it worked. But she wanted to get away from that, and she was not quite successful. She tried and tried and tried. She left LA. She came to New York to become a serious actor. She went to the actor studio, studied with Lee Strasberg. Everybody knows about this. You can Google it. It's there. But she was trying to run away from that.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel that, because you come across in a very powerful, confident, you have a lot of awareness about who you are. You don't have to, I mean, you're pretty much, like you said, you have to be happy in your own skin. Do you feel that it's a part of you that you're running away from? There's any shadows? Because you look very, I'm not trying to knock you out. Please, come on. But because it's interesting, you know, when I see people as yourself, they come across in a very strong way, right? Very crystal. I can see that you're very, very truthful. There's any shadows? There's any sort of, I don't know how to describe it, but a part of you that you want to run away from?
I've been chasing my shadow for for quite some time, and finally stopped, drove it away, done.
Good.
Like, I feel like I'm at the right place,
I'm
at the right time, and everything happened just to prepare me for this moment.
Okay.
You know, a lot of crying,
a lot of
dying, a lot of, you know,
because diving in.
Oh my gosh, and a lot of, and out of that, because see, I was like, wow, because there's times where you don't think you're gonna make it.
Right.
See what I'm saying? The pain is unbearable, and the people that you had around you are gone.
Right.
You know, and the music stops. The inspiration stops. And you're left there like, okay, what do you want? What do you want to do? And it really challenges you. It reminds me of the moment when Denzel was playing this role, and he was in solitary confinement. He was playing a boxer. Ruben,
the hurricane.
What was it? Hurricane.
Yes.
And he was having that moment with himself and talking to himself, because it's within that moment you either break,
right,
or you build. And I've had that moment. Oh yeah, I had that moment, and I call it the 0 point, you know, and that's when everything changed, and I was like, yes, you know,
it's a new you, right?
Oh my goodness,
you have to go to the dark to see the light.
What? And I said, you know what? How many people didn't make it?
Right.
Didn't get past that, to reach that 0 point, so you have nothing and rebuild and have everything. But because Farah, you have to get to that point.
You have to get to that point, but too, what does it mean to make it? That's a good question. And you cannot tell me that is not a good question, because it is. What does it take to make it? What is it? What does it mean to make it? There's a lot of great artists, like we know, I know very talented people in New York, back home in Costa Rica, in Australia. I have friends in England, and there's a lot of talented people, right? Yeah. Van Gogh, he couldn't sell one single painting, one. His brother Theo was the one sending him money every month. He couldn't pay the rent. He was cold. He was dying. He was freezing cold. And to keep himself warm, he pretty much threw his own work to the fire. To keep himself warm, he destroyed his own work. And we're talking about a genius. Right? The people now, they pay $50-60 million for one single painting, right? We can look it up on Google. Anybody can just go and click Van Gogh, and you can read about it. Okay, what does it mean to make it? I mean, the society seems to be cruel and unfair. Sometimes we go too much to what looks good. But we don't see much the inside. Sometimes it's a marketing thing. Sometimes it's like, you know, to give you an example, you go to the stores and you see a Vivaldi or Mozart, Bach, music, CD. Well, you don't see CDs anymore, but understand my meaning. You see one CD, for a classic CD, for $2.99, and then you see, I don't know, Britney Spears for $18.99 plus tax. I understand that times have changed, but what does it mean to make it? Is it really quality what we have out there in the world, or it's just what happens? What does it mean to make it? I'm sorry, this is such a long question.
No.
When people ask me to make it, what does it mean to make it? What's your context